We're going to start the podcast as soon as Jamie's done her selfies.
I'm done. My hair looks cute today.
Oh, so does mine. Mm-hmm. Just kidding. It looks the same as every day. Well, hi, we're here. What number are we on?
11.
We're on 11.
And we also start at chapter 11 today, conveniently.
Perfect. Yeah. Perfect. I'm Christine.
I'm Jamie.
We're doing chapters 11 to 15 of A Court of Mist and Fury. And I think this is like the pace we're going at is kind of like the 5-chapter pace.
Yeah.
Although, now that I'm thinking about it, our next episode is going to be 3 chapters. But after that...
then we're going back to 5. Swear it.
Okay, so what I wanted to talk about today was starting a new book, because I did that last night.
Yes, you did.
And I hate it. I hate it so much.
No,
not the book.
Oh, just deciding.
Not even the decision, just the starting a new book.
Okay, yeah.
And having to do the world building and to get through like the first, usually for me, the first 100 pages. Yeah, I think that's like the average for me. Before I'm either like, okay, I'm not gonna like this, or I'm not gonna be like super hooked into this, and whether I know whether like, no, I'm
I almost also dread it, because I also did a new book this week, and I was just like, oh, and I was kind of like putting it off, and I'm like, I don't know why, like, I know I'm going to enjoy myself once I start.
I have new book anxiety.
Yeah.
I don't want to start it, but I know I need to start it because I need to get into a new book.
Yeah, and I'm like, oh, but I loved those Lost people so much.
Can't let them go.
And then I finished that book in 24 hours, so.
I also just had a kind of like mediocre book experience, so my feeling too was like, oh, I don't want to like dedicate so much time hoping that it's going to get better, and then it just is like, you know? It's just like, okay. Yes. Like, obviously I finished the book, so they were like good enough to finish. I know I liked it, but I was not like super excited, so now I'm like, oh, what if I picked the wrong book? And now I'm stuck reading hundreds of pages waiting for the tides to turn, and they never turn.
At least I know, because you started reading Red Rising.
Yes.
And I've seen lots of, even like on TikTok about it and everything.
I can't trust it. But
it's people that I also follow on like Goodreads, where I do trust
See, I know exactly what you mean, because there are people that I trust their opinions who recommended the books I just read. And there was also another series that is super popular that I read, and I read it until the 3rd book. That's how much I was like, everyone else likes it. I want to get it right. Yeah, that was right. To Snap a Silver Stem.
Oh, I haven't even heard of that.
You have.
Oh, okay.
You have. The Crystal... Oh, that's the 2nd book of the Crystal Bloom book. To Bleed a Crystal Bloom.
Oh, I've seen it. I don't think I have it on my to read, though.
You have the other book, remember? When the Moon is Hatched? So,
yes.
But those are really popular books, which is fine. Like, everybody likes different stuff, but, like, when I follow people, usually we have the same taste.
Yes.
Right? So I trust their judgment. That one, I couldn't. And I still have the 3rd book partially open, and one day when I'm in a really good mood, I'm going to try it again.
Yeah. Just come back to it.
I'm, like, still hoping I'm on book 3, and I'm like, no,
it's going to get better.
I don't know why I do that.
Yeah.
But back to the Red Rising stuff. So, Red Rising is... I can see,
which I would like to mention, I did get that for you for Christmas.
You did.
Yeah.
You did. And it is taking me until, what month is it? April.
Yeah.
to start it. But I can tell already that it's like really well done in terms of like details of like world building. I'm not that far in, but it's tedious to get the world building, even though you're like, okay, this is going to be needed and this is probably going to be really cool, but now I have to like remember stuff and visualize stuff, and I'm like, oh.
Majority of people I've talked to or seen about it, it's like the 2nd book's the best one, which I also feel like it's like this. But I remember like Michelle, who used to do my nails, her boyfriend was reading it, and she's like, he has not put it down, is obsessed with it. She actually mentioned, or messaged me the other day, she's like, he started reading Throne of Glass.
No.
Yeah, and she's like, he cannot put it down. He's so into it. She's like, so I told him to listen to your podcast.
Well, we're not on Throne of Glass yet.
No, but I said that's like a big favorite. But I loved that he was also reading that, and
I do love
super
that.
into it.
Okay. Well, I mean, we're the only 2 people here, but I assume other people have this experience with starting out a new book. And
it's tough. It's like you get... Yeah. But yeah, so I also started Divine Rivals. And same thing. It took me a bit. I'm just
but that one pretty quickly I felt like I got into.
Yes. Well, yeah. Then I ended up finishing it very fast. The only thing
I knew you would like that one with like how they're like writers and stuff.
Yes, I did really like it, but just how I was picturing it first, because they're like, oh, they're at a Gazette. So I swear the first like 10 chapters, every time I was like in my mind how they were speaking, it was like, hey, girl, like, you know what I mean? Do you know what type of voice I'm trying to do?
Yep.
Yeah, I could not stop doing it. I'm like, I need to.
Is there something wrong with that?
No. But I was just like, why can't I stop? Just read them.
That's the vibe, though.
Yeah, it's 100% the vibe, and I couldn't stop doing it. So, but yeah, I think that anxiety is very real. It's
new
stressful
anxiety. We are coining it.
And I even put on my Goodreads, I was like, oh, I'm going to start Midnight Library, because I have that one as well. And then it was like, oh, I'm like, no, I'm going to switch it. And then I switched to Divine Rivals. I'm like, can't do it.
Yeah, well, that's a whole other topic, is mood. Okay, we'll leave that for another time, though, because we need to talk about this drink.
Yes, I'm so excited to try it.
This is so exciting, because we go to the night court. Now,
it's like at the end of the chapters, though.
She's already been to the night court at this point. Yes. So, but
we like really go to the night court at the end of this.
Yes.
Yeah.
So we finally thought it was appropriate to do the night court drink.
Yeah. And I would also like to say that I also switched up my styling for the drinks. I can now use my dress as the backdrop with stars all over it. So. You
should have put it on after.
Yes, I should have.
Do it for finale.
Yeah, finale. Yeah. I will.
So the night court drink that I came up with was a blackberry sangria. Now, I got to tell you, I bought blackberry syrup. So if anyone lives nearby, and needs blackberry syrup, I have about a gallon that I bought from the internets, and I didn't need it. I absolutely didn't need it. It might have been a midnight scroll on my phone, and I thought I found a random recipe that I could never find again. And then it came in the mail, and I realized I absolutely didn't need it, but I was determined to use it because it did taste very good, the syrup. So anyway, I use this blackberry sangria recipe that doesn't originally use syrup. It actually uses like simple syrup, I believe. Yeah. So my recipe is red wine and Grand Marnier, club soda, and then this blackberry syrup, which is a sugary syrup, right? I guess syrup is sugar.
Yeah.
And it has orange slices in it. I put a couple mint leaves and some blackberries, and that's it. And it's nice and dark, just like the night court, and, bubbly. Okay, let's try it.
I am very excited.
Cheers.
Oh, that is really good.
It's a good sangria.
It's like very rich tasting almost, but not too rich.
Well, yeah. Red wine, Grand Marnier, and blackberry. That is.
But I think like the club soda and the
lighter.
orange kind of, and the mint like freshens it up. So it's not so deep. I'm into it. And I like the blueberry.
You mean the blackberry?
Blackberry, yeah.
I really like it. I would make it again, which is a good sign. I think, you know what? And I'm going to do some experimentation with that blackberry syrup.
You should.
Because that's a good syrup.
Yeah. We're just going to start making our own cocktails.
Like outside of this podcast?
Nope, we're just going to come up with our own recipes.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's what I continue to do week after week because I keep having to alter the recipes anyway, so I might as well. I did think of that this week, though, because of the blackberry syrup thing, and I couldn't find the recipe, and then I was like, that seems too soon for me in my skill set.
Yeah, I also had the same thought when I was like, I'm like, one day.
One day it'll be original recipe, but it's not yet.
No, not there yet. We still have a lot to learn.
What's your rating?
One sec. I'm going to give it an 8.5.
I also give it an 8.5.
Perfect.
Okay, the first 3 cocktails for A Court of Mist and Fury are all very high ratings for me.
Because we're getting better.
I think so. Am I going to run out of space here? Are they all going to be good or something?
No, I'm sure we'll have a bad one.
We're so good at this now.
We're professionals, pretty much.
Let's open a bar.
Ooh.
No,
that's an awful idea. That's an awful idea.
Okay.
I might need to buy a new bar cart, though. I sold my bar cart a few years ago because I was like...
you never make cocktails, so why would I have this bar cart?
Yeah, I just had it there because it looked cute. But now I'm like, I actually need it for that purpose.
Yeah.
Because we make everything here and...
Well, I have a basement closet that if there is any alcohol, or I just leave it at your house.
Yeah.
Well,
connoisseurs, okay. Cocktail connoisseurs.
Let's get into these chapters.
So I just first would like to say that this part of the book is so depressing. I was listening to the audio part of it today too, like just to refresh my memory a bit. And it literally, like, I can feel it in my body, and I'm just real happy we're gonna get through it.
Like how sad she is?
Yeah, like I can like feel it, and I think it's also, which like just with reading anyways, but how you can like really like understand like like you can see like parts of it in yourself, so it almost like affects you more.
Yep.
And I remember the first time reading this where I'm just that day, I'm like, I'm so sad.
It really, Farrah, you're bringing us down.
Yeah, like
but not your fault, babe.
No, I mean, you need to go through this journey.
Yeah. So we start off in chapter 11, and she is at the night court, because if you remember, in the chapter before, Rhys does that little scene where Tamlin begs him, and then he's like, I have everything I want, and then they disappear. And
which I did like how he walked around Tamlin like a piece of furniture. That was great. Wanted to bring that up again.
Oh, resend. But they're in the night court, and Rhys says, what the hell happened to you? And she says, why don't you just look at my head? And then he winked, and he said, where's the fun in that? She doesn't smile, and he says, no shoe throwing this time. And then she said, I could almost see the words in his eyes, come on, play with me. So this part, like even that line, like they have this banter that they've always had.
Yeah, it's like Under the Mountain, how she always said, she's like, I don't know why around him I talk back, when he was just like the night court guy or whatever. Well, not guy, but High Lord. Yeah. But she would still have that snappy response to him always. So it's always been there.
Yeah, that she doesn't have with Tamlin as much.
No.
But with him, they have this like really cute back and forth, and she's noticing that he's like trying to like rile her up, like trying to get something out of her, and she's just, her mood is so low that she's not really responding, right?
Yeah, she just doesn't care. Like everything.
Rhys wants her to sit down and eat with him, and she's like, don't you have more important things to do? And he says that I'll always make time for you. And he also talks about just how stressed he is. Like, just let me like sit down and have some breakfast. Of course I have things to do, but just sit with me.
I need to chill too.
Yeah. And he obviously made that comment in the last chapter too, about how thin she is. So he's obviously worried, and he's like, wants to know what's going on. He wants to talk to her. He tells her about how he felt that day when she was with Tamlin, and Tamlin exploded, right? And like shattered the whole room. So he asked her about that, and she just doesn't want to tell him, right? She's like, it's nothing. Yeah. None of your concern. Don't worry about it.
And I think he says, like, before that happened, he was trying to feel through the bond. He's just like, I've been feeling nothing. It's just been silent. Like, I've been checking to make sure that you're just alive, and then all of a sudden this one day that was the explosion part. And
and he clarifies it's not just that you've gotten really good at your shield, I actually just aren't feeling you present,
which obviously she's depressed, and she's just sitting there
doing the same stuff over and over again.
I just wrote down, like, depression is real. I'll just circle that was just my thought. I was just like, no.
He does ask her why she isn't telling him to go to hell. Which I needed to mention that, because go to hell was her line.
Yes, and I thought of you and how when she was under the mountain and she kept repeating that.
He asked about the wedding, and she's like, whatever. But he says he was expecting her to say, don't ask stupid questions you already know the answer to. Or he says, my timeless favorite, go to hell. But Rhys wants to clarify with her too. Like, are you in? Like, are you interested?
Yes.
Because
what's going on?
You're here this week again. Like, you gonna work with us? And she says no, that she just want to be a pawn. And he says, like, I'm not manipulating you. I also thought in this moment too, because I guess my initial read was, come on, Farrah, just work with him, go do something. But then I also thought, Rhys doesn't always tell her his motivations. Like, I'm thinking about how she asked him, why are you still doing this deal? If we're buddies and, like, stuff went down under the mountain where you were this good guy, why are you still maintaining this deal when I clearly have said that I don't want to? He never explains that to her and clarifies that with her. So I'm like, I can see how she's distrustful just in her own right, aside from Tamlin.
Aside from also having Tamlin
telling her
in her ear as well to, like, not trust him, not do these things. And it's also her wanting to hold on to Tamlin.
Yes. But there's just that other part of it that I noticed while reading where I was like, okay, this is, like, somewhat valid, though.
Yes, that's very true.
But she's like, you just want to piss off Tamlin. Rhys says, but I need your help. Right? And he actually is pretty vulnerable in this moment.
He's pretty good at doing that every once in a while.
And I think it seems like he's being honest, though. Like,
yes, I agree.
I don't think he is manipulating her. Like,
no.
He says, I was a prisoner in her court for nearly 50 years. I was tortured and beaten and fucked until only telling myself who I was, what I had to protect, kept me from trying to end it. Please, help me keep that from happening again.
I listened to this part on the audio version today and almost started crying.
Oh.
And I almost started crying now. I'm like, please. Like, that's such a, not bold, but just really, like...
And honestly, like, what he went through, can I just say it? What he went through is bigger than what Feyre went through.
Yes. He had almost 50 years of that.
Right, and she had 3 months.
Yes.
So the fact that she just says nothing, like, her interpretation, not her interpretation, but she just was, like, exhausted and didn't want to argue with him anymore. And she
it does
just, like,
say, though, that she's like, a part of my heart pulled at this, but she's just so deep, I think, in, like, the depression that it was. But there was some acknowledgement inside her, but she just can't.
Yes, it wasn't totally, like, cold.
Yeah.
I do want to recognize here, too, that this want to not upset Tamlin. Right? She's saying, like, I don't want to jeopardize the relationship, but it's like, if you're making choices for what you want or what's good for you or what aligns with your values and your partner is totally just like, no, right? Without compromise or conversation or giving that validity and attention, that is messed up. And it reminds me of abusive behavior, right? And I think we'll see a little bit more of this because when you get into, like, an abuse cycle, and I don't even know if they show, like, if their relationship totally shows this. This is just, like, a little bit of a sign. But it's when you start making decisions based off of how they will view it, how they will react.
Yes.
You are trying to be 10 steps ahead. I'm, like, my behavior, my decision making is based off of them. And again, we talked about sense of self before. Then you lose your sense of what you want and what you think.
100%. Which I think also for, like, anyone that has been in an abusive relationship, this part of the book is kind of, like, really... Harder. I hate the word triggering, but... Yeah, it is, like, very triggering. And I think that's, like, also, like, I had a hard time with, like, where I felt it so much more. Yeah. Because I'm like, I can totally understand all this.
Right.
And, yeah, it's just... Fuck you, Tamlin. I'm so angry.
But Rhys ends up leaving her, and eventually when he comes back, he says to her, like, tell me what to do to help you. And he asks, like, aren't they, like... Sorry. What?
I do want to say, before that, she kind of does talk about... So it is, like, while she's gone, she's just kind of sitting, but she just says, the woman who had hurled a bone-speared Amarantha, I didn't know where she was anymore. Perhaps she'd vanished that day. Her neck had snapped, and... fairy immortality had filled her veins. Which I was just like, it is just sad to think of just from the last book who she was and how she was and just seeing her in this state. Yeah, she's not that, like, girl that did that. Like, that was such a, you know, and now she just has Tamlin, like, bearing her and you can't leave, you can't do these things. And like, she has more power now than she did before. That's
true, but she's not feeling that.
No.
And to, like, jump to the end, we'll go back, but to jump to the end, she says she's realizing that she's at her bottom. So she says, I was in free fall with no end.
Yes.
And through her conversation right now with Rhys, she realizes that this isn't good. Whatever it is that I'm doing is actually making it worse. It's not really helping, in reference to Tamlin. Because he asks about Tamlin and, like, what are they doing? Like, are anybody at the Spring Court paying attention to you? Or are they asking you, like, how to help you? Like, why is everybody ignoring how messed up you are? Like, you are not okay. And Feyre says, like, Tamlin's giving her space. And she thinks, like, when Rhys questions if he cares, she thinks he cares too much. No, it's not that he cares too much. He loves you and he cares for you, but he is... also having his own experience with his own trauma, and he is focused on that, and then all mixed
out on you a little a lot.
Yeah, and then that's all mixed in with, like, his very patriarchal way of being, where he needs to be the protector and she just needs to, like...
And it's very, very heightened in his PTSD state.
Yes. Are we doctors?
You're probably closer than I am.
Hi, Raz.
We'll cure you. So Reese does leave for like a week and then comes back and they have that conversation, just saying that kind of a week's gone by at this point.
Yeah. She tries to go back to her book.
Which is exciting that she can read a book.
Oh, yeah, but she's been reading a whole bunch because she has nothing else to do because Tamlin won't let her do anything. But Reese seals the book shut so she can't open it again. She's, like, trying to ignore him, right?
But this is her first time, like, reading a book. Because it's, like, Reese leaves her a bunch of books to read.
Oh, I thought she had... Oh.
And then when she goes back after this, that's when she starts.
Okay, yeah. So she starts getting good at reading.
Yeah,
good for you.
Right? I was so excited for her.
She turns the book into ice and throws it at his head.
Classic move.
I think she notices too, like he's not like mad about it. Like he just wants to like get a rise out of her too.
Yeah. Like I want to see her alive. Like you're still in there.
The ice turns into flame and then she just is exhausted. But she's showing all these different powers now. We're starting to see all these different ones come out from all the different High Lords that she accumulated.
Mm-hmm.
And then she goes home. Reese brings her home after this, back to the Spring Court.
And when he departs, he just says, fight it.
Yeah, what do you think he meant by that? Like, fight the depression?
I think,
fight
just
Tamlin and
I think
Ianthe?
everything at this point.
Yeah.
Just fight all that.
Okay, this might be my cringe scene in the end. And I know we're just in the beginning stages of Mist and Fury, but she says, protect.
Oh, yes.
I could see the word in his eyes, feel it in every thrust he made into my body that night.
Yeah, I think that already wins.
I had been taking from him once in the most permanent of ways, but never again. Ew.
I want to gag, but it'll sound really gross.
It feels like are you even like a human being?
No, you were just, now it's just like all of a sudden she's become this almost thing that like this curse breaker person and you're just there to be told what to do. Like a Stepford wife type of thing almost.
Yeah.
Right? Is that what that would be compared? I don't know. But just like your thoughts, nothing matters.
He's not connecting with her or like engaging with her, or getting to know her. Like think about how little time they spent together before they went under the mountain.
Yeah.
Maybe you should get to know each other or like,
continue at least.
Instead of just like having sex and then you leaving for a week.
And I this week listened to like our last episode from like the first book. And I was like obviously already doing all this. And I was like, what happened to you, Tamlin? I was like, remember Calumet, whatever that.
Oh, that's so true. Like,
it made me really sad that you did kind of see him start opening up, and they did have all these conversations and like moments, and I was like, what happened? Well, obviously we know what happened, but it just made me very sad for that relationship that they did have, and now what it's become.
Because he did have some growth in terms of like asking about her life and her feelings and getting to know her.
And how they connected on a lot of things about how they were in their families. There was a lot there, and just now you're just treating her how you are.
So chapter 12.
That's how it starts off.
Chapter 12 starts off with Fair realizes, okay, Tamlin's gone off the deep end here, and she is just always surrounded by different sentries. She can't really go anywhere. Like, she just doesn't have any sort of freedom. Mm-hmm. And Tamlin and Lucien are called away for some threat. And, this hurt me sad, too.
Right? That's even, this episode, sorry, guys.
She said, I asked my friend to tell me what it was, yet Lucien had that look he always did when he wanted to, but his loyalty to Tamlin got in the way, so I didn't ask again. And she
this happens a lot this episode.
She calls him her friend, which is really sweet, and so she's looking to Lucien to say, like, help me. Mm-hmm. But she knows that he's torn.
And you see it more, like, as the chapters go on, just that he knows, he can see something's wrong, knowing what should be done, but he still has that loyalty to Tamlin.
Yeah. And one thing I wanted to add, because this wasn't a significant part, but Ianthe comes to hang out with her while they're gone, right? And she says, Ianthe returned to keep me company, to protect me, I don't know. Right? Okay, is Ianthe your friend, or is she a babysitter?
Yeah.
And I wrote down the word infantilizing, right? They're treating her like a child.
Is that what infantilizing means?
Yeah.
Oh, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, she can't take care of herself, that she needs to be watched, that, you know, they're not, like, getting her input in terms of what she wants, and they're making decisions for her. Like, they're treating her like a child.
Yeah. It's very frustrating. She used to take care of her whole family, you guys.
Yeah, she is capable.
She is an adult.
It also, like, growth requires that you give people adult decisions.
Yes.
So even if you're like, well, I'm 500 years old and you're only 19, it's like, okay, well, give her some opportunity.
Exactly. Stupid.
Anyway, she gets real mad, and Tamlin, well, after Tamlin and Lucien return, right, he basically gives her a kiss on the forehead. Ugh.
Honey, I'm home.
Or like a child, you know, gives her a kiss on the forehead, looks her over to make sure she's okay, and then he heads to the study where Ianthe follows him in and saying she has news for him, and Feyre just knows she's not allowed in there, right? But it's upsetting. Something upsets her. Lucien notices that claws come out of her hand, so then he takes her aside and was like, what's that about?
Yes, so he's the only one that sees that happens. And then I think they go talk in his, I don't know, room.
Yeah, and he's like, okay, I'll try again with Tam, and I'll see if he'll be okay with getting you some training, because, you know, your powers are going to show up either way, but maybe if you can
have some control or know what to do with them.
Right. So then Lucien goes back to the conversation with Tamlin and
this part
Ianthe, and she overhears the conversation, which is very sloppy on their end.
Well, I think it's later in the day.
Later in the day.
Yeah. And yes, it is. And they're arguing. I literally just wrote and circled Ianthe sucks for this for this part. Like, stop. Like, why? Everything she's saying, she's making me very angry.
Yeah.
And she even says at one point she could hear her, I think her tone of voice change or something. And she says, like, I knew she was then directing her comment to Tamlin. Like, she's just like trying to like tell him what to do, which also really isn't helping anything, having her in his ear constantly.
Right, and Feyre has to overhear conversations to know things about herself, because they're talking about her.
Yeah.
They're talking about what to do about Feyre having powers, and Ianthe is saying that, you know, the other High Lords might come kill her because she has these power, and they might be angry that she accumulated these powers that they essentially gave to her, or they might, you know, if you and Tamlin have children, like, they will come after the children.
They're going to take her to breed children.
Right.
Where I was like, okay, relax. Yeah. And Lucien argues that point.
Right.
He's like, none of the High Lords would stand for that.
Yeah. They would be ostracized.
Using Tamlin's fear.
Yes. Oh, that's a really good point. Yes. And that's, I mean, if you ever want to, like, start a cult or something, that's, like, a really good approach.
Yeah. Tips.
Ianthe suggests assassinating Rhysand.
Oh my god, yes.
How dare you?
Like, chill.
And Lucien says we are not assassins.
I still love Lucien.
Lucien begs Tamlin to train her, and he obviously says no, and that training would make the other lords aware of her powers, and then Tamlin gets really mad, and then...
That whole thought process doesn't make any sense.
No.
And it frustrates me. I was like, if you train her, she'll learn how to control them, so if you are around them, they're not just like, blah, like coming out.
Yeah.
Like nothing, it doesn't make sense.
But Tamlin wants to be the protector, though.
Yeah. This is just, it's very frustrating.
And I think what fuels that also is the fact that Under the Mountain, she was the rescuer, right? She was in that sort of masculine role where she had to protect him, and he was a little bit helpless. He was
literally just sitting there gripping the chair the entire time. He does not
like being in that position. So now he has the opportunity to reverse that, and he's like, oh, okay, I'm gonna, you know.
Yeah, you'll never have to do that again.
Yeah.
I'm gonna take care of everything. You'll never have to save me type of.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, Jamie, it's another sad part.
Oh, I know. So, thank God this drink is good.
Right?
Really need it.
Let's take a picture after and then see if we have any mascara runs.
Dripping down her... Oh, okay. This is really sad. I hate
Yeah. The next day, Tamlin and Lucian are going off to do whatever they're doing, right, on a mission.
There is activity near, I think he says where, and she realizes that's by Highburn, like shores type of thing. So she does connect that. So that's where they're headed.
She has a brain.
What? Crazy.
She's not a big dummy?
Yeah. Girl that built a thing out of the worm's bones.
She asked Tamlin if she could come with him. He says no. Surprise, surprise.
Yeah. She also does say, like, just tell me something, because he's not answering any of her questions like he's been doing the whole time.
Yeah. She says that he promised her that he would be better, and he's not. Like, be better in terms of, like, letting her have more freedom.
Yeah.
And he just, says, your untrained abilities render your presence more of a liability than anything.
That part I wanted to...
But you are not training her.
Yes. So what would you like her to do? Oh, I had that written down also.
And she's begging him. She's saying, I need to get out. Like,
I need to do something.
She already went through that thing where she's, in the other chapter where she said, I'm drowning. It's almost like he forgot that.
Yeah, like she keeps telling you these things and you're not listening. And then, Ianthe will come and you'll go for a horse ride. Like, no, I don't want to do that stuff.
He's not listening to her solutions to the problem. She's saying, this is how I need to feel better. And he's going, well, no, let's try this other thing to make you feel better because that makes me feel better.
Yeah, that's safer.
So he ends up putting a magical shield around the manor so she cannot get out.
Before that, I would also like to say, he says to her about going, then he goes, you can barely sleep through the night.
Oh, yeah. And she goes, like, you can't sleep either.
Yeah, neither can you. I was like, are you kidding me?
Neither of you can.
Yeah. Tamlin, your points suck.
You're not special.
No. So you can go do it, but she can't? Like,
right.
And he's like, you can barely be around people. Just everything he was saying to her, making it worse.
As if he didn't have any contribution to that.
Yeah. And that you're not doing the same things.
So he makes a magical shield around the manor.
The audacity.
Locks her inside, and she starts to panic, right? She's like trying to bang on this shield, like, what is happening? And so Lucian hangs back and explains it to her.
And she said she looked at him first and he was just pale. And just being like, oh, fuck.
Like, we're mad at Lucian too, obviously, yes. But you also see his struggle where he's like, okay, I'm used to, like,
at least he's aware.
I'm not the boss, but I'm like, I feel helpless because I want to help my friend.
Yeah. And also going kind of back to how he was getting mad at Lucian. And there was, like, a surge of power, like, when she overheard them talking. She's like, I don't know what he did to Lucian. Lucian also went through way more shit than you did, Tamlin, under the mountain.
Yeah.
Like, he was whipped. He was in that one trial. Leave Lucian alone.
Right? He's creating fear in Lucian, too, where Lucian doesn't want to step out of line either.
Yes.
So she's trapped in the house. Because of her panic, she ends up creating this cocoon of darkness, ice, and fire around her, which ends up melting her engagement ring. Oh, no.
Oh, guess the engagement's off.
But nobody can get to her. So she hears people talking. Like, she realizes she hears Alice talking. And someone picks her up. Mm-hmm. She then realizes that that's Moore. So Moore arrives, carries her away.
She does hear at this point as well that Alice does say to Moore, please take care of her.
Yeah. Oh, love you, Alice.
And Moore also says, be grateful that pretty much worse wasn't done, type of thing.
Yeah. You tell them Moore. She's like, you guys are lucky.
Yeah, that's right. And then she also says, did you think his shield would keep us from you? Which I just liked. I just highlighted, like, the us. That she's, like, Moore's considering.
Yeah, she's, like, treating her like she is with them, even though Feyre's been, like, very rejecting of the Night Court and their people.
I had, like, 2 conversations with you, but she's still very much, like...
Oh, I just want to, like, hold her and...
Like, can you just hold me more?
Yeah, hold me.
Yeah.
Rock me like a baby.
Please.
Anyway, chapter 13.
Okay, but at the end of it, she does take her to Rhys. She meets up with Rhys. Oh, and then she also says, just another great Moore part, because as she's holding Feyre, she's like, you're free. And Feyre says she doesn't say to me, you're safe, I'm going to protect you. She just says, you're free. Like,
right, and that hits for her.
Mm-hmm. Yes, more.
Because it shows other people's perception of what the situation Feyre is in.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. And that Moore knows to say that to her.
Yeah.
Okay, now I will allow you to go to the next chapter.
Chapter 13. She wakes up in the night court, of course. Rhysand is there. He's looking super solemn. Oh, sad. But then he realizes she wakes up and she sees rage in his eyes that is quickly replaced by what she sees as, or what she thinks is, relief or exhaustion. He explains that he heard her screaming and she feels that like her throat is sore, so confirms that.
Or she says, like I was screaming. He's like, you were screaming.
He explains what happened, right? Because it's still foggy, and that he said that he couldn't come into Tamlin's house to get her. So he says, by law and protocol, things would have become very messy if I'd been the one to walk into that house and take you. Smashing the shield was fine, but Moore had to go in on her own feet, render the sentries unconscious through her own power, and carry you over the border to another court before I could bring you there, or bring you here. Or else Tamlin would have free reign to march his forces into my lands to reclaim you.
So good thing they did it by the book.
Right, you're so smart, guys.
And then she kind of does go like, he locked me in that house.
Yeah.
And I have nowhere else to go.
Yeah. He said this isn't part of the deal, so like you can come or go. This isn't, you're not.
If you want to go back, you can. Stay here forever if you'd like. So yeah. Rhys, I would also like to stay there forever.
Yeah, I'll come with you.
Yeah. And also pretty much like offers her a job, like work for me. You'll have somewhere to live, clothes, food, everything.
So he goes to leave, and she says, can I go with you? He says he has work to do, tells her to get some rest, and she says, I have enough rest. I've been resting, and I've been reading, and I've been frolicking. I am fine. He says if she goes with him, that there's no turning back, and she won't be able to speak to anyone about what she sees. That she'll have to lie to the people of the Spring Court, like Tamlin and Lucien and Ianthe, about what she sees, which is huge.
That's like it's a very big thing. She also, like before that, kind of says please to him. I just think, which that also just happened with Tamlin when she was wanting to go with him. She says please. Yeah. Tamlin. Just the difference in reaction. Right. From the both of them.
Yeah. He says, instead of just saying no, he says, okay, well, if you come with me, these are my expectations.
And which it's a clearly bigger deal if she goes with him, surrounding, like, with that secrecy.
So she says yes, I'll keep it a secret.
And then she asks, where are they going? Where are they going, Christine?
Valaris, the city of starlight. I want to go to Valaris.
No, I currently am wearing a Valaris necklace. I would also like to say it's real. It's a real place.
I just want my bedroom to be Valaris theme.
You should redo it. Surprise, Eddie.
Yep. Surprise.
It's Valaris.
Although our bedroom walls are already black, so.
Oh, it's a good start.
Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna do it.
Okay.
And yeah, he winnows her there. And that's the end until we go to chapter 14.
Yes.
And this is part 2.
Right, in the book.
Of the book. Part 2, The House of Wind. Rhys opens with, welcome to my home. Do you think that's how he says it? No, he says, welcome to my home, fair. Oh. Got real deep there. That wasn't too bad. Welcome.
He says it's his home, him and his family. It's for him and his family.
Yes. Yes, he does clarify that. That's just for him and his family. Mm-hmm. And she doesn't know who that is yet.
Nope, no idea.
And she doesn't ask. Because Feyre is too sad to ask questions at this point.
There's a lot going on. He also does tell her that only him and Moore can winnow in and out of the house. Mm-hmm. And that the house is warded and shielded. And only those he and Feyre wish to enter can.
Yeah, you're safe. You're okay.
Yeah, no one's gonna come try and steal you or try and steal you to make their babies, like Ianthe said.
Yeah, he says the walls of Valaris haven't been breached in 5,000 years.
What? So this is also just walls. That's crazy.
Yeah, and we'll see the explanation.
Yes.
After, but Feyre is about to go off to have a little nap, but 2 males and a female arrive outside the door, and she hears their voices. So we don't yet meet these people. We just hear their voices, unfortunately.
Yeah. But they sound fun. And
they do. That's why I wrote down some quotes of them, because I'm just like so excited to meet them again.
Which, before you read your quotes, I do like it. She says, looking at Reese, like while this was all happening, she says there was such a light in his eyes. It made him look younger somehow, more mortal. She's like, oh, I just liked.
I wrote that down too. There was light in his eyes.
Well, you have a lot of quotes going down right at this part.
Sorry,
so
I like it.
Yeah. Okay, go. I like the first ones.
Actually, do you want to be Azriel and I'll be Cass?
Oh, okay.
Okay, we're gonna try it again. Okay, hurry up, you lazy ass.
If you're going to pick a fight with him, do it after breakfast.
I wasn't the one who hauled me out of bed just now to fly down here, busybody.
And then Reese calls them children.
You know we can hear you, prick.
Oh, and then yes. And then it does say there was a light in his eyes for Reese.
Yes. They're fun.
Yeah.
But we won't know who they are yet because Feyre goes to have a nap.
Yes, but you can tell there's like a fun relationship going on there.
Okay, I know we already went through this, but I'm struggling to pronounce their names again. Nuala and Ceridwen? Caradwyn.
Caradwyn, yeah.
It's Caradwyn.
Yeah.
It's a hard C. Hi, guys. Hi, Mary Kate and Ashley.
Yay!
Okay. This was something I've been thinking about because you cast Mary Kate and Ashley Olsen in the roles of
Sure did.
Nuala and Caradwyn. And the more I thought about it, the more I was into it.
Right? I think they would be really good for it.
They don't want any more acting jobs, I assume. Mm-hmm. But I think this would be a really good role for them.
They really don't have to do much.
They don't. And they could use their nonchalant personality where they just move in and out of shadows and wear their shapeless clothing, and they could do it.
They could literally just be themselves.
But then I went into a bit of a thought spiral, and it reminded me of that movie, It Takes Two.
Yes, great movie.
That's the one where, like, one of them is an orphan.
Yeah.
And then one of them has, like, a rich dad.
Yeah.
Okay.
I believe it's Ted Danson.
It's not Ted Danson.
No?
Absolutely not. It is Kirstie Alley, though.
That's why I was saying Ted Danson. Okay. Yeah.
She is, like, the orphanage
that's
lady.
Yes, that's...
But the reason that it sparked something in me is because at the end of that movie, because I have watched it in the last year.
You have?
With my daughter. And at the end of it, I realized, and she didn't notice it because she's too young to really follow the plot line. And I assumed that lots of audience didn't care about this part. But one thing that made me really angry about it, they never tell us why they're twins. Oh. You know? Like, they're like, oh my god, we're twins.
Yeah.
And then, like, the rich dad, and then, like, the Kirstie Alley character who's, like, the orphanage leader, they're like, oh, we like each other. They fall in love. But then at the end, it's like, we're a happy family. But it's like, okay, but how did the mom kidnap them at birth? How?
Didn't he adopt her?
No.
Oh.
Or maybe he did. Maybe I'm missing that part. I was just, like, watching it. I was like, there's no explanation.
Well, I feel like we really need to do our research.
Anyway, Nuala and...
I don't know how this...
If Mary Kate and Ashley are listening, could you please just clarify that plot line for me?
That would be great.
Feyre tries to get info out of them about who those people are, and she says that they're Rhysand's inner circle, which is a group of people that I would like to be in on, because it sounds like a high school, like the popular group, the inner circle, and I'm not a huge fan of like hierarchies and like bullying, but there is a shitty part of me that wants to be on the inner circle.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I want to be involved, you guys.
Me. She asked how the city didn't fall to Amarantha like the other courts had, and they say that Rhys kept the city hidden, but they won't explain to her further. They say it's Rhys's story to tell, and she Feyre kind of gets her back up and is like, not why won't you tell me, but like, like, thinks that it's like you're keeping something from me,
Yes.
which is like something Tamlin would do.
Yes.
Right? Like, you won't understand, or you're not privy to this information. And Nuella and Carradine clarify, like, no, it's just not our story to tell.
Yeah.
We're not trying to like keep it.
Yeah.
We don't think you're like an idiot. You know?
I do
which
also
is a big
like
difference.
when they do see like a Rhys Inner Circle, and she kind of says, "Oh, I didn't know," about how he keeps it very casual, or that about how most High Lords don't. They say how he's not most like he's not like most High Lords, which obviously you can see just by kind of how he does his own thing.
He's not a regular High Lord.
He's a cool High Lord. And then as she does drift to sleep, she thinks how it'll be a very fitting punishment for Tamlin if she never goes back. But she says he. She doesn't say Tamlin for something, punishment for what he had done. Because I don't think she's ready to, like, think the name Tamlin.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That's a good, it's a good catch.
Thank you.
Chapter 15 is really exciting because we get to go to Valaris. I really have to restrict myself in these notes, or else it's going to be 25 pages, because I just want to write down all of the descriptions of this city because I want to live there.
Right? It just sounds so beautiful. My first note was, I want to live here.
Our notes are very different.
Yeah. I want to live here. Just want to point that out for everybody.
But Feyre realizes when she walks out into the city, oh, nothing is touched here. Like, this city is thriving. Everything is beautiful.
It sounds so normal.
Yes. One of the descriptions that I really liked was the city had been built like a crust atop the rolling steep hills that flank the river. The buildings crafted from white marble or wormstone. But I just like the description, like, the crust.
Yeah.
Because it showed the city wasn't built by, like, leveling the land and like destroying it. Like, it was all of the townhouses, all of the buildings, all of whatever was built with how the land was formed.
I like
you know
that.
What I mean? Like, it's a really cool description that, like, maybe visualize it a lot better. So they didn't destroy the hills or the uniqueness of the land. They built a city around it.
Sounds like the
most
beautiful little European town. I'm going to Google if there's, like, a town that would be close to Valaris in Europe somewhere that I can just...
I think there is.
It 100% has to be.
Yeah.
And I'm going to go there.
No, I've seen, like, TikToks about it.
Oh,
where people have taken, like, pictures of, like, mountain towns that remind them of Valaris. And Valaris has this big river running through it as well.
It's an ocean. There's something with the ocean, too.
What?
I swear, the sea.
What are you talking about? I just think about the Sidra, which is the big river that runs through it. Well, it doesn't matter.
Okay. Just geography things.
He tells her about the House of Wind. So because they're surrounded by mountains, she notices the House of Wind, and the House of Wind is Rhys's other house.
Yes, he has two homes
that he uses for more formal gatherings, and that, you know, like the windows and the openings are all built into the mountain, which is so cool.
Get yourself a High Lord with two homes.
Well, technically he has three, because there was the place that Feyre was staying.
Yes. I mean, he probably has like 10.
But she sees two winged figures flying there.
Ooh, yes.
So maybe the men that were outside the door, I don't know.
Might be them.
Feyre gets really mad. She's so sad in this chapter.
Okay, I do want to also...
we haven't noticed already.
Just pointing out, even when they start walking, how she's like, people didn't care or know that the High Lord lived there.
Oh, yeah.
Nobody's really acknowledging them, or there's kind of like a, hey, hi, like just...
Yeah. Or like a welcome back.
Yeah, it's not a big, like how she would go places.
Oh, my lord.
Yes, and it was such a bigger thing.
Right.
And, or when she went to try and help those villagers, they were like, oh, it's Feyre.
Yeah.
And everyone's staring at her.
Yeah.
I almost feel that the Spring Court and the Night of Valaris are two different times. Like, they're more modern there, and like the Spring Court's back in like the 1600s.
Yeah, and we must keep things how they are, because that's how they've always been.
I cannot live with the normal people, the poor folk.
Right.
Which is how his townhouse is, just with
hierarchy.
Yeah, he's just like, no, like I live, walks around with everyone, like it's nothing.
So Feyre's mad.
Oh, yes, right.
That she notices that Valeris was safe.
Just really starts to question.
Yeah. So Rhys has kept Valeris safe through the times with Amarantha, but that Valeris is not known to the outside world. Mm-hmm. So that's how he was able to keep it a secret, because nobody has known about it before Amarantha ever existed.
Yes. Before he did.
Before Rhys ever existed,
yes,
right?
It's been a very protected
It's
place.
been, generations of his family that have kept this city a secret from other people, that is crafty.
Right? Please tell me how.
Where you only have, like, the court, the original court that was built after Under the Mountain, right? That court that Feyre was afraid of, like, that was what people see. And they don't know that Valeris existed. That is just like a full and thriving city with happy people. So you sort of get to like control the narrative of this is what the other High Lords see.
Is this terrifying
and they're intimidating,
place in the
and
mountain.
I get to protect the larger part of my people.
Yeah.
Right? But he says that they're kept secret from wards and spells, and he didn't open up because Feyre's like, why didn't you open it up to other people? And he's like, well, I had to make tough decisions, which I don't know, is like easily understandable. Like if you start to bring people in, then it really threatens the secret, so it makes sense. But
and I think he does also say something like he needed to preserve some goodness, something with which really good job, Reese. But I also understand her frustration.
Oh yeah. Yeah, where she's like, I saw so much suffering and like sacrifice, and then your people didn't.
Yeah. And then even going to the Spring Court and seeing how they're trying to rebuild, and all those people that were stuck under the mountain other
suffering
places,
and died, and
she's like, and all these people were just safe. Mm-hmm. Yeah,
but she gets to see some really cool places in the city. So the Palace of Bone and Salt, the Palace of Thread and Jewels, the Palace of Hoof and Leaf. And he tells her that Valeris is known for the Artist Quarter, and there's the Rainbow of Valaris, which is the same thing. That's the Artist Quarter.
Yeah.
And there are theaters and galleries, and it sounds so nice.
Yes, I want to go there. I love it so much. It's just so beautiful, and I want to go shop there and paint there, everything.
So Feyre doesn't feel that way. Feyre just feels sad that she doesn't want to paint anymore, and that just reminds her of it. So, like, to go visit it feels like...
Yeah, and she's like, let's go.
Yeah.
She's over it at this point.
So, Rhys tries to ask her again whether she wants to help, and says, you know what, tonight at dinner, you can meet the inner circle, and you can decide there. Meet them, see if you like them.
Yes.
See if you want to be buds, and then that's that. And she asks who's going to be at dinner. And he says Mor, Cassian, Azriel, Amren, the gang.
Gang's all there.
He didn't call them the gang. I called them the gang. But I know I've read this book like 5 times, but I'm excited to meet them again.
I know, me too.
He says that Amren is his second in command and Mor is his third, and Feyre's like, what? Women
Can be in roles of power?
What? They're not.
Reese, what world are you living in?
What? And he says Amren looks high fae, but she's not, and that she's older than the city itself and likes to hoard jewelry.
She sounds pretty cool.
She does sound actually very cool. But he says, like, you need to be afraid of her. Also
be very careful.
He says, I'm the most powerful High Lord in Prithian history. Mm-hmm. Which was a big flex.
That was. Just fair if you didn't know.
I was going to say I would never say that, but I might say that if I were him. Yeah. And he says, I don't even mess with her.
So that's also kind of terrifying.
Don't mess with Amren.
I think he's also saying it to be, like, just the comparison.
Yeah. Okay. But this is when Feyre says maybe it would be a mercy to be ended.
So she says it in her mind.
Yes.
Yes. And
sorry.
Does not have her shields up. Rhys Sand does not appreciate that. And he kind of grabs her face in a not hard way, but just like to really look at him and just says, don't you ever think that. Not for one damn moment. That's right, Feyre. Don't you dare.
Yeah. Because could we just make sense of that for a minute? Because in her state, like, let's just call it depression.
Yes.
I think, like, there's
severe depression.
there's a difference between truly wanting to die and just a feeling of hopelessness where I don't know how to get out of the current state that I'm in, and I don't know what other choices I have.
Yeah.
And so this thought of like, well, maybe that would be okay.
Yeah.
Maybe I'd just be okay with this all ending, and maybe that would feel okay.
Yeah.
That's not necessarily like not wanting to live. That's just like, I'm tired, which she's shown over these chapters, right? I'm emotionally exhausted. And she, like, needs to sleep all the time. Like, she's not really doing anything that would make her tired. It's, like, it's her...
depression. Yeah. And I think also thinking that you have, like, an eternity ahead of you. And this is how you're like, feeling. How am I going to make it through all that?
Yeah.
So then, as he does that, she also flashes into his mind all of a sudden. And kind of sees herself through his eyes. And she doesn't look great, she realizes.
Yeah.
Just...
yeah, she's like, I look
awful.
gaunt.
Yeah, I look awful.
Reese is surprised by this. How did you get past my shields? And then his mind starts turning the wheels and is like, oh, maybe because I'm the one that gave you that power, which he ends up telling her is called Demonti.
Mm-hmm.
Is that how it's pronounced?
I don't know. I'm not even gonna. I'm hoping Demonti. We don't have to say it again.
Demati. That's not how you say it.
I'm going to say it.
Demati.
Anyway,
she's one of those. She got that from Reese, being able to go into people's minds. So he's like, oh, maybe it's like recognized. Our minds are recognized, which has given you extra access
it's kind of letting
to my mind and slip in a little bit. Anyway. I did write down a quote, which was weird. She describes Reese, and she says, Reese with his smirking and sarcasm and bedroom eyes.
That's how I want to be
That's
described.
That's a good description.
Yeah. I wish I had bedroom eyes.
He, like, is happy, but looks a little horny, but is a little bit funny.
Right?
That is how everyone wants to be.
Yes.
That is like...
that's the look.
That is personality goals.
Yeah.
I think.
I like it. Smirking and sarcasm and bedroom eyes.
So they're getting ready to go to the House of Wind for this big dinner. Mm-hmm. She's going to meet the crew, decide if she wants to work with them, but she doesn't want to fly there. So the House of Wind you have to fly to, is what we learn.
You can take the steps, but they are 10,000 steps.
Right. Nobody wants to do that.
No. Nobody.
And Feyre would not be physically able to do that.
No.
And you'll get there tomorrow.
Like, maybe if you were going down the steps, I'd be like...
if you rolled, yeah.
Just or on your butt. Got like a little slip and slide. But walking up 10,000 steps, no thank you.
Well, she has to give in because she has to get there.
Yeah.
And she says, I think at one point she's like, well, what else am I going to do?
Yeah.
Am I just going to like stay in the house?
Stay here, go to the bed.
Yeah. So he does fly her to the House of Wind.
I do like the playful moment where she's kind of arguing with him about it. She's like, well, so Ridian just spent an hour on my hair and it's going to get messed up.
You mean Caradwin?
Whatever. I'm over it.
My hair, though.
Yeah.
And she says in her head, like, I was exaggerating.
Yeah. And I think he does say, like, I won't mess up your hair.
Yeah. But as they're flying, this is so sweet. He shares this memory of his mother and how she used to fly with him at night and how he used to sneak out of the House of Wind and he'd go flying on his own. Sometimes his mom would be like, don't do that. But sometimes she would go with him.
Yeah, when she would catch him.
It's really sweet.
And Feyre does say, like, your mother sounds great or something.
Yeah.
And it's just another vulnerable moment.
But she learns that his mom is dead. She doesn't press him on it, just, like, realizes from the wording.
Or, yeah, because he said she was. Or, yeah.
And, they do this little confessional thing. He says, you say what's on your mind, one thing, I'll say one too. And he confesses that he spent 50 years under the mountain. Never thought he would see Valaris again, and that he wished he would be the one to kill Amarantha, and he knows that if war came, he wouldn't have a night like this. So he's realizing, like, okay, I'm back in Valaris, but I don't get comfy. Just in whatever little time we have before things blow up again, just enjoy this.
Yeah.
Being here.
And I do like that he kind of does that with her, too.
Yeah.
So in response... which I was surprised that Feyre actually did respond to it. So
yeah, it seemed a little bit like, what do you call it? Word diarrhea.
Yes, where she kind of just started and then it just kept coming. So she does say, I'm thinking I must have been a fool to allow myself to be shown so... Wait, did I read that right? No.
In love.
Yeah. I'm thinking I must have been a fool in love to allow myself to be shown so little of the spring court. I'm thinking there's a great deal of that territory I was never allowed to see or hear about, and maybe I would have lived in ignorance forever like some pet. I'm thinking that I was a lonely, helpless person, and I might have fallen in love with the first thing that showed me a bit of kindness and safety. And I'm thinking maybe he knew that. Maybe not actively, but maybe he wanted to be that person for someone, and maybe that worked for who I was before. Maybe it doesn't work for what I am now. That's a huge admission.
Yes, and obviously she had been unconsciously thinking about this because she hasn't been gone that long.
No. And I think, that was just like a lot that she admitted.
Yeah.
And it's, again, sad, which has kind of been a theme. So.
But relatable.
Very... I think, especially with, like, young love and, like, first loves.
Right.
Sometimes those work out, but...
Yeah. Like, the question of, are we compatible? Were we ever compatible? Or is it because we're changing that now we're no longer compatible? Yeah.
Yeah. So...
But they have to end their conversation because...
Two winged males approach.
And then the chapter ends and we don't know who they are. I mean, we already heard their voices and things like that, but we can't meet them.
Not yet.
I'm so sorry. We have to wait till the next episode.
It's coming though, guys. Don't worry. So, no casting call.
What would be the tune for no casting call? No casting call.
No. Yeah. No casting call.
Oh, I like that one better. Okay.
So that's it for the casting call. Just that sentence.
It's done. Let's do MVP. Do you want to go first in a second?
I'm just going to go and just say the first thing that comes to mind because, again, every time I forget about MVP. So my MVP is Moore.
Okay.
Again, we kind of talked about when she went to get Farah, and I just liked how she said, like, the us thing and the you're free. Like, there was something, which I think is, you kind of saw when she first met her, something with, like, her personality where I just think she really understands. Like, I don't know. And just
totally.
Right? And then she went in there, did everything that she had to do. I just love that it was also, like, a female coming in, saving another female.
She's a girl's girl, More.
Yeah. Like, she picked her up, carried her out of that house. Really, like, if it was a movie, epic moment, just More walking out of the house, carrying her. Like, you're free.
Yes.
Right?
And unafraid. She is such a comparison to, like, what the women look like in the spring court, right? Like, More is powerful. Like, she is unapologetic. But I feel like that also shows her love for Reese.
100%, yes.
Right? Because she doesn't know Farah very well, and obviously she's, like, empathetic, but she also is, like, she's on Reese's side.
And then immediately just to say the us thing, where she's like, that's how much Reese means to her.
Yeah.
That she's just kind of using those word choices and...
Totally.
Yeah, so she's going to be my MVP.
Okay. So, similar, my MVP was the tag team of Moore and Reese for the rescue.
Oh, okay.
The rescue team.
Yeah. Oh, I like that.
Yeah. So they're my MVP. They work together.
Yeah. Oh, that's a good one.
Reese, obviously heard Farah's distress and brought Moore along.
Heard her screaming.
Yes. But because of the trust and closeness, he brought her in and, that's his cousin. And we're like...
Knew that she could go in and do it right and still get her.
Full trust in that relationship. And it doesn't feel like it's like, again, we bring up hierarchy. It doesn't feel like hierarchical, Like it's like, you're my friend, but you were also obviously part of my inner circle. So you're kind of like under me, but it doesn't feel that way in their relationship. So it did genuinely feel like a tag team.
Yeah. I like it. Oh, that's good. I also do want to ask, what are you naming your drink? Because you didn't tell me.
Oh! I just named it the Night Court. Is that boring?
Yeah, because a little bit. I mean, I guess you can still call it that.
I don't know what else I would call it.
Okay.
I'm sorry, it's not that interesting.
I mean, it does go with, like, the drink.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that works. Okay.
Sorry.
Next time, spice it up a little bit more, though.
Well, next time is your turn, so you spice it up.
Okay, well, the time after that.
Oh, I'll give my secondary MVP, Alice.
Oh, yeah.
Alice.
Deserves
You
a
know,
little shout out.
I've given her a lot of flack, but within that flack of Alice being an asshole, I do recognize the love there, too.
Yes.
Like, her being an asshole, I never recognized as her not having love for Feyre or having a connection with Feyre, and I think in this moment she really shows, like, I don't know.
Like, this is what's best for her. Take care of her.
Yes.
She could have been like, stop, no, and...
Yeah.
And just, obviously, her and Moore, I think she does say at one point she could hear two women talking. Mm-hmm. So they obviously had some conversation where Moore didn't do what she did to the guards.
Yes. Yes. Didn't sedate her.
Yes.
But also, maybe Alice is less threatening. Yeah.
But, well, yeah, good shout out. Good shout out for Alice.
Yeah. Okay, well, Moore, Reese, Alice.
Bravo.
You did it.
Yeah.
You are the MVPs. And
I think we can all also agree that the loser of this episode is Tamlin.
Oh, thank you for reminding me, because I did put down ultimate loser. Okay, good. Okay, so my ultimate losers are Tamlin and Ianthe.
Yeah.
And
I think it should really just be Tamlin for this one.
No, for me it's Tamlin and Ianthe because of the conversation.
Yeah.
Because of Ianthe obviously having this certain perspective of, like, we need to assert our power.
Let's kill Reese.
We need to suppress whatever is happening with Feyre and treat her like she is a child. She didn't say that, but that's, like, what her words were saying. And then Tamlin going along with it. Like, both of you are taking the worst approach possible, and you're not taking in anyone else's opinion. So you lose. You lose.
Yeah. Tamlin, you lose the most, though. Sorry.
Lahu?
Not sorry, actually.
Not sorry. Mm-hmm. Sorry, not sorry. Well, I'm really excited to get into the next chapters because we get to finally meet those people.
The inner circle.
We get to meet them.
Yeah.
Oh, you know what we forgot to do?
Apparently a lot.
You know what we forgot? Ask for people to rate and review.
Oh, yes.
If there's anyone listening out there, and I know this is the very end, but it would be so helpful for us to continue showing, I was going to say showing our voices, showing our faces, but it's showing our voices,
yes.
like, to share what we're doing and what we're talking about, which we have so much fun doing. It would be really helpful to rate and review on
just
Apple or Spotify or wherever you listen.
You can give, like, some stars or just be like, good job.
I mean, give us 5 stars, please.
Yes, please give us 5 stars. And if you want to leave a comment, just Tamlin sucks. Something, you know?
Oh, yeah, that's a good one. Yeah.
Great. Leave your opinions. Also, Instagram. Come leave your opinions on there. We're Instagram.com/
Are you trying to give the website version?
Oh, yeah. I'm old.
No, we're Books and Booze Podcast.
Yeah, Books and Booze Podcast on
Instagram. Yeah, that's it.
Really good at this. First time, guys.
Okay, bye.
Bye.